Quick question for you. How many times have you tried to do self-improvement and failed? 3 times? 5 times? Well, I've tried and failed 11 times before. I started in my 11th grade in high school when I was 16, working out, and life was looking good for me. I joined the cross-country team. I had a few friends I was talking to every day. Life was going pretty well. And then COVID happened, and then I got lazy, and that's my own problem. And that lasted until my freshman year in college, when I was extremely motivated and I was like, I'm gonna get jacked. This is gonna be my year. Not even a month later, I failed. And then the next semester, that happened again and again and again. I'm sure you're starting to see a pattern. I would start off extremely motivated and then fall off extremely quickly. And I've been stuck in this cycle for the past 6 years. The only time I ever lasted more than a month was this a time a year and a half ago when I lasted 6 whole months, and then I fell off later on. The reason I'm telling you this is because I haven't lost hope yet. I know I am ambitious and I am going to succeed. Why? Because I'm a winner, and winners find a way to win, no matter what. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why I failed in the past, what I did right in that 6 month period, and what is different on this time on round 12. Because at the end of the day, belief is cool, but action matters more. So I thought about it, and I've journaled about it and everything. The biggest reason I failed every single time in the past was because of one thing. I fell back into my old addictions. For me, my big addiction is reading light novels. A bit embarrassing, but it is what it is. I remember the most clear example was during the 6 month period. The first 3 months I was good. I was constantly fighting off the urges and maintaining my course. But one day, I was back from college into my parents' house, and I remember feeling angry about something, and I wanted to feel good. And before I knew it, I was thinking about my reading light novels, my old addiction. And then less than an hour later, I was reading. I read for 8 hours that day, non in one go. When I went back to college, I was so disappointed in myself and disgusted with myself that I broke my own promise to myself. But I swore I would never read it again. And I kept my promise at first. 2 weeks later, when I went back to my parents' house for the weekend, I I read it again. And that would happen every 2 weeks. I would go to college, be strict, go back home, and go crazy, reading like 10 hours a day. Yeah, it was not healthy. And that was my biggest mistake, treating that as okay. Because before I knew it, I was constantly thinking about my old addiction. Even when, if I wasn't doing anything, I was thinking about what I should read next. And I'm a bit embarrassed, but I had a list of books on my phone that I would try to read. And every day when I went back home to my parents' house, I would read as much as possible and then go back home and that's it. And I remember I would stare at that list every single day, just thinking about what I wanted to do. And honestly, it's no wonder I failed. It's honestly impressive that I managed to last 3 months doing that. And yeah, my addiction, so I fell off in December, 3 months after that time. My addiction is silly compared to the more serious things like alcohol or weed or even food, but it was my monster to slay. And for me, it was extremely difficult. It took me 6 years to break through it. So those were the main things. That's the main reason I failed in the past. Now let's talk about what I did right in that 6 month period. The main two things I did differently then than in the past was I quit when it was hard, and I had a mantra that I would repeat all the time. When I say I quit when it was hard, I mean I quit even though my desire to indulge in my addiction was at an all-time high. It's like taking a cold shower that's really freezing, and then once you take a lukewarm shower, the lukewarm shower is not that big of a deal anymore because you've experienced this worse experience before. It's like in practice or in sports, they make you train harder in practice so that the actual game is much easier in comparison. Now, that was the first big thing I did. The second big thing was I had this mantra where I would say, I never fantasize, instead I visualize. Now, what that means is oftentimes, I'm sure you have this too, where you think about funny moments or funny experiences in the past. For me, those pleasurable memories were oftentimes from stories that were not my own. So I would fantasize about being in the story, living that life. And obviously it's not my life that's what makes it a fantasy. Instead, what I would do from now on is visualize. And that means I would visualize my future life. I would visualize how I would live, how I would look, how jacked I am, how good my social skills are, how good my community is, things like that. And that visualization made me excited towards working towards a better me. Now, one other thing I also realized is that the first month is the hardest. According to my own experience and things I've learned, the first month is the hardest when it comes to breaking any addiction. If you have a lot of harder addictions, it can take more than a month. But if you have a addiction like doom scrolling, porn, or things like that, a month is usually the benchmark. And as proved by my own experience, the only time I lasted more than a month was when I lasted 6 months. So here's what I'm doing differently this time that makes me believe I'm going to succeed. One is this habit called trauma processing. This habit changed my life, and it comes from the book The Untethered Soul. I'll make a video explaining more about the book, but it helped me realize that all my problems in life are an expression of my internal problems. And more than that, it didn't just tell me that I have problems. It told me exactly how to solve them. So now I know I can solve these internal problems instead of saying, "Oh, better your mental health." Like, what does that mean? How do I better my mental health? But this book tells me exactly what to do, and all I have to do is follow it. This is the story of my 12th round of self-improvement and my final round, because now it's going to be the rest of my life.